Hello and welcome back. Today's video will be an inspiration video from a comment I had on my previous video, or a video about XRP's effect on backdoor backs effect on XRP, and the person commented about the fact that potentially he believes that XRP will be the #1 coin. That gave me an idea for a video, and I guess we'll look at the possibility of this coming to fruition. So, as usual, everything I mention in this video is my opinion. It's not financial advice. Please do your own research. And let's get on with this. So, at the moment, XRP, in fact, has dropped down into third position, slightly behind Ethereum. So Ethereum's claimed its #1 spot, around $420 million behind. So really not much, to be honest. It's only a day's worth of good trading for either one to either catch up or extend its lead. So let's look at just imagining XRP going back to second position, which is entirely possible. It was #2 position for around, I would say, 60 days, if not longer, if not slightly shorter. So what can it get to? At the moment, it's obviously sitting at, let's put it into 29 pence or 37 cents. That's 549 million volume, and the actual market, the current market cap is $15.246 billion. Now, for it to overtake Bitcoin, that's an interesting one. So obviously Bitcoin is nearly 4 times as big as XRP at the moment, and I looked at a chart earlier today, and I believe XRP sort of dominance in the market is around 10 to 11%, and I think Bitcoin is obviously at 51.1%. So if we just quickly look at the chart, if this is going to load quick enough, yep, there it did. Just take out all the other coins which we're not interested in about. If this actually works, which it is, and you can see very interesting, 2014, 13%. So it hit its peak in May, actually 23% XRP dominance, and obviously it's fallen down, recovered a bit. So yeah, about 11.5% dominance, which gives it a 15.2 trillion, billion. I wish it was trillion dollar market cap. So an interesting article I looked at about, I'll again link this in the description below, about the benefits of a fight between XRP and Bitcoin. Great picture there. So these are the benefits. No forks. Another benefit of XRP is no forks. A real company with a real office run by professional people that you can contact if you have a problem. The whole Bitcoin forking thing has been very divisive issue of the cryptocurrency community, and has gone down little to give large business any kind of confidence. And this is what I spoke about previously about XRP, with Brad Garlinghouse having a face, having a company. It's not just going to disappear overnight. It's $1 billion company, multi-billion-dollar company. Obviously, $15 billion XRP is worth, and that doesn't include Ripple, the company itself. So it's a massive company. So it's not just going to, be here today without any updates, and tomorrow, people run off with money. So that we'll go later on to talk about in some of these comments. I'm not going to go over the security part because I don't agree that XRP is a security. So this is the main part. Banks don't like Bitcoin. Now, yes and no. The banks around the world don't really like Bitcoin, and sure, this is a badge of honor for Bitcoin, but the theory goes that they will actively work to suppress and hurt Bitcoin, potentially, not to fully totally agree with that. With the big Wall Street products coming specifically targeting Bitcoin, it appears that the banks want to profit from Bitcoin, not crush Bitcoin. The love and hate relationship of banks with Bitcoin is currently in love period. Interestingly, both Bitcoin and XRP could be under real pressure by the influx of national cryptocurrencies, or even more worrying for XRP, the banks implementing their own solutions. As of now, banks are loving the solution that Ripple Labs are putting forward for them to use. I know for a fact that a lot of banks are using or looking to work with Ripple and use the XRP token. And I mentioned previous videos, I come from a banking background. I'm in the banking industry. And I know there are banks out there which are specifically working with Ripple themselves. There is a bank which I will not name. Does a lot of work for Ripple, does a lot of events for Ripple. They were hosting Cybos 2018 in Sydney this year, and Ripple was there, or the company Ripple was there, Brad Garlinghouse was there, and this bank has also done separate specific events for Ripple itself. So, and this is probably the second or third largest bank in the world, so not a small bank by any means. So, I mean, can it hit or can it beat? I mean, the main thing is, this is another very good point, transactional fees. On the fee side, XRP is consistently way lower than Bitcoin, with Bitcoin having unstable network fees. But again, Lightning Network is coming. Lightning Network is coming, but the cost of an XRP transaction is, I think, it's 0.00003. So, like, minuscule for a transfer of any size. So, and it's speed, and that's another thing that banks like. So, what would it take? I mean, it's very difficult to predict on the basis that, you know, if Bitcoin didn't move at all, and we hit a price of $20 for XRP, that roughly works out to be a $1.2 trillion market cap for XRP. Now, as we know, that's not going to, the market's not going to move singular, it moves as a group. So at the moment, XRP is 1/5 of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is 50% dominance and XRP is around 10 or 11% dominance, will it happen this year? No. Bitcoin is going to be knocked off its perch at some point. I just don't think it's going to be this year or the following year. There's still a lot of ground to make up when you look at the 2025 trading volume, when you've got Bitcoin at $4 billion, and obviously a lot of exchanges only trade predominantly in Bitcoin, and obviously that's going to change as you get more of these big coins having pairings like XRP on Kraken and Binance. EOS, there's an article that I read about Huobi launching a specific EOS exchange. Obviously, trading volumes will shift away from Bitcoin, and that's going to lower its trading volume, and obviously go towards XRP and other coins. Once XRP's trading volume goes up, once big banks and big corporations are using XRapid and more specifically the XRP token to do transactions back and forth, then we expect the trading volume to boost up with that, and with that will come price increase. Now, like I said, I've predicted a $15 to $20 XRP price by end of 2019. Like I said, that'll be a $1.2 trillion market cap. If that's the basis of that, then we expect Bitcoin to be on around $5 trillion. Now, these are obviously very large numbers we're talking here, so the market may be way into a $5 to $10 trillion market by then. If obviously XRP regains its number 2 position, it can obviously add to its market cap itself. It's going to take a lot of work for it to dethrone or usurp, which I do like that word, Bitcoin. it's going to take a number of years. Bitcoin is here to stay. I saw a video today and someone mentioned about first to the scene, and it's the oldest. Bitcoin it's not a company, and that's the negative side. There isn't, although there are people working on side chains and on-chain stuff like Lightning Network and things to speed up the transactions but reduce fees. It's not going to be developed the way with XRP is. It's all integrated. It's almost like having an iPhone with an inbuilt memory, which is probably XRP, and then Bitcoin would be a phone where you have to insert an SD card. Expansion slots will always drain more battery and be more problematic than in my view with sort of soldered on pieces. And soldered on pieces is kind of what XRP is, and it's upgradable. With Bitcoin you have to add stuff on, you have to dump stuff on top. Again, massive fan of Bitcoin. It was the first currency I owned in 2014, but I believe XRP will surpass Ethereum and it will surpass Bitcoin. It's going to take a few years. I can't imagine that's going to happen till way after the Bitcoin halving, so that's going to be May 2020. So that's probably going to run long for a number of years, and I'm thinking XRP will take dominance in 2022, 2023. So at least 4 years from now. It's quite a bold prediction, quite a long prediction to make. A lot can happen in 4 years, but I expect XRP to be number one, only on the basis that the amount of banks they've got lined up for the next this year in terms of using XRP, and if they all come through and banks don't suddenly start using their own token, which I don't think they will. They'll just prefer to use an outside source like XRP or Ripple, the company itself, and there isn't any sort of major underlying issue with XRP, then I can't see anybody else beating XRP with what it offers, with what it can offer, and its security in terms of it being a company. Of course, Ethereum, but Ethereum is all about smart contracts. I don't want to talk about Bitcoin Cash. EOS is completely different to XRP. The only competitor which is similar, I believe, to XRP is Stellar. But at the moment, obviously, Stellar is 1/7 of XRP. So similar sort of gaps between XRP and Bitcoin, Stellar and XRP. And obviously Stellar hasn't sort of got, I believe it's got IBM on its books, but whether IBM are using the Stellar token, the XLM, as opposed to just using its blockchain, or a hybrid of its blockchain, we know companies are using XRP. And one thing with XRP, unlike Stellar, I believe, XRP does a coin burn. So every time you use XRP, it loses some value. The supply reduces, which is only going to increase the price. I don't believe Stellar does that. So, that's its closest rival, but it's, way down. No, I shouldn't say way down, but it's number 6 on the market list, with a lot lower volume of 96 million versus 550 million. So again, similar comparisons to XRP and Bitcoin. But I think the XRP will fly high, and 2022, 2023, I expect obviously the price to surpass $20. We may be into it's hard to say triple figures, because that really puts XRP into something like $5 or $6 trillion market cap. But certainly, a $50-$60 XRP by that time would be lovely to see. And also it's sort of market cap would be around $3 to $4 trillion. But again, this is just a prediction again. What do you guys think about this? Obviously, you might have some negative sentiment with XRP. It's not really the decentralized network we would like, but it is the one which is going to be around for a while, especially with its sort of infrastructure it has in place and the products it does offer. It's a very smart product and very smart people behind it. But let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think? Is it going to be XRP? Is it going to be something else? Is it going to be EOS? Is it going to be Stellar? Is Bitcoin going to just remain dominant for the next 20, 30, 40 years? Let me know what you think. And as usual, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, thanks, bye.